Good day, everyone. It is Caitlin, and today we are making a 1920 shift and garters.
Hello and welcome. So we're making a 1920s outfit because my husband and I bought a 1929 Model A car, and we need outfits for a particular event. Actually, it's a photograph we've taken, and I'm not entirely sure we're going to be in the photograph, but we're going to show up in style. It's basically what we've decided. And I hate the 1920s, so this should be a lot of fun. We've already made chemises, we made a corset type situation, and now we're going to move on to the other underpinnings, which are going to be garters, which we're doing right now, and a slip, because my dress is slightly see-through. So to make the garters, I'm having to cheat, because apparently I do not have any 2-inch silk ribbon. Things I always keep on me, and I apparently don't have any left. So yeah, I just made a giant order of 2-inch silk ribbon. And they're all in white, so I'd have to dye it anyway, but, you know, we're going to go ahead and use this for now, because I need it this weekend. But what I'm doing is I want 2-inch garters, because I would typically use a 2-inch silk for this. So I bought I had some silk fabric, and I cut it in 4-inch widths. And we are going to fold it and iron it in half, so that it is now 2 inches. And I'm doing it this way, as opposed to like literally just folding it in half. So I have two edges that are not raw. The raw edges are in the middle, and they're going to be caught by a seam, so you won't be able to see them. So what I did as far as measuring went, I measured across for the circumference of where I wanted the garters to sit, which would be above my knee, just above my knee. And that was about 19 inches. So I rounded up to 20. And then I doubled it, because these are very gathery garters, I guess is the word. They are very full. Nothing like mid-19th century garters that I'm used to. So right now what I have is two 20-inch lengths of ribbon that were 4 inches and are now 2 inches. So now we have our ribbon. We can commence in actually making the garters. So if you were starting with ribbon like you were supposed to, then this is where you would start. You would have the two lengths that are twice the width of where you want the garters, and you'd have them pinned together. And I'm going to stitch 1/4 inch from the edge. Let's go with that. Now I have something that looks like this. So I'm using swimwear elastic because it's 100% cotton. And this is what we're going to use. So it's plastic and natural rubber instead of plastic and polyester-y stuff. This is 3/8 of an inch. So I'm actually going to stitch the next seam 1/2 inch. So it'll give it a little bit of wiggle room. So that way it'll give me a little bit more wiggle room. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing, but on this side. So I'm going to do the 1/4 inch first. Now I'm going to do the 1/2 inch on the other side, or on the side that we just stitched the 1/4 inch. That way I'll have 2 channels for the elastic. Alright, now we get to repeat that with a second garter, and we'll come back and work on putting the elastic in and finishing them up, because this should be a very quick and simple project. So here is the garter. I got one done just to make sure I know what I was doing. So it looks like this. Cute. I didn't really know what I was doing with the trimming. I just looked at a couple of originals and went, yeah, that looks fine. So I got one elastic band into here. It's my lovely elastic. And I'm using a safety pin. It's the easiest way to get elastic into a casing, unless you have a bodkin, but even then you kind of have to watch and make sure that you're not. It's like a sewing needle. If you only hold the bodkin, you're going to pull it all the way through and you're going to have loose stuff. But if you hold the end, like you should a sewing needle, you'll be fine with the bodkin. I can't find any of my bodkins, so we're using this. And I want this first one to go a little bit further in, so I think that's what I needed. Because I am going to stitch this down here. I gotta figure out where the rest of that went to. So yeah, I have it pinned in place right now, so I don't have to sew it immediately. But just going till you have a solid little mass of gathers. So if you pull on it, it should even out the gathers. If you find your gathers are wonky, that's how you do it. So now I have a fully gathered garter. I'm going to stitch it down by machine here and here, and then stitch them together, and I'm going to fell it over. So on this one, you can see this is what the underside looks like. You can see where I felled. This is what the right side looks like. Okay, so I have the finished garter essentially. So stitch it, felled it just like we talked about. I did it by hand just so there wasn't another seam on this side, and that's the only reason I did it by hand. I'm going to go ahead and show you how I do these little bow things that I came up with on the spot. And I'm taking 1/8 inch ribbon. I'm dealing with what I have in the stash. I wanted to do roses, but I didn't have 1/2 inch ribbon, and I didn't have very much inch wide ribbon. I'm using all the inch wide ribbon I have into these bows, and I just made a double bow. You can Google how to make a double bow. And that's all that is. And then I just take it, and I'm basically making a double bow, except I'm making a triple bow. So holding, there's 1, 2, 1, 2, and then there's 3. So now I have like a cluster. Cut that. Wrap it around a good time. And then try to tie the knot while you loop it around one more time. Pull on it, and you should have something that looks somewhat thus. So I have 3 of them and some thread. Oops, I think I just tore out my knot. So what I did is I put one on either side. It also keeps my bow in place. Now at this point, I went ahead and I had already marked the center of this, so I'm just putting it in the very center front, I should say. At this point, you just kind of go around, stitching it a couple of times and kind of fluffing out these bow edges as needed and stitching them down where you want them. Because like this, I don't like how that's coming down. I want that to really be shown, so I'm going to stitch that down right there. There we go. And this last one I kind of just put, because I felt like something else was needed, right here on top. That way everything's all nicely stitched down. And I have what kind of looks like a bigger bow, but it's really 3 little bows in the middle there. So now we get to start on the slip. Now let's start on the slip. I am using white cotton. And so what we're going to do first, or what I did, is I took the length I wanted it, which is 36 inches for me, and I added a few inches for the hem, both top and bottom, so I ended up with like 38.5 inches. Measured my hips, added like 8 inches or 9 inches to that, cut that in a quarter, because this is only half the shift, and I have it folded in half. And I marked that here with the cut, did the same thing but for my bust up there. So now what I'm going to do is fold it. Okay. Now I have half of my slip. I'm going to cut the exact same thing again. I'm going to go ahead and do the shoulder straps though. Cut off the selvage. And let's see, I think I want them to be 2 inches, so 4 inches to start with. It'll be a little less than 2 inches wide when done. Go ahead and do that 4.5. And I can really use that chemise measurement that I made a couple months ago, or like a week ago for me, but a couple months ago for y'all. And I can use that to determine how long to make these. So those are my straps. I have half here. And yes, I am cutting fabric right off the bolt, and that is not recommended because this bolt is not washed and it will shrink a little bit, which is why I added extra to my measurements. But I didn't have time to wash it for this weekend, and I need this done today. So we're going to just go ahead and add like 15% extra so that when it shrinks in the wash, it's not that big of a deal. I just copy this now. And here's my other half. So I'm going to go stitch those up on both sides, French seams, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do with the front and the bottom, or the top and the bottom. Alright, so this is the hem that I am ironing up. The sides are stitched together. They are French seams like we talked about. And I am just over here pinning together a hem. So just based on my own measurements, I added about an inch for the bottom hem. So an inch and a little bit. So I did a 1/4 inch turnover, and then I'm doing an inch turnover. And for the top, I allowed an inch in total. So I have turned over 1/4 of an inch and then 3/4 of an inch. So I have my machine here. Go ahead and put this on the edge. Stitch it around. Alright, so let's go ahead and put this on to the actual slip. I keep calling it a shift. Too many S words that revolve around underpinnings. Doing my own measuring, I literally went to the chemise. It's back here, and I did the exact same thing that it did because I know it fits. Alright, sewing this on. And then I think I'm going to have to do a little bit of embroidery because I need to figure out which one's the front and which one's the back. Just be able by looking at it. I'm not sure I'm going to do that yet, but I need some way to mark the front. Of course, after this we're done, except for I gotta figure out again how to make this easily identifiable as the front. I figured out the absolute easiest and fastest and laziest way of marking, and that is to use my marking kit that I got. They're actually just stamps, and I am using just regular archival ink and pressing it on with an iron so it becomes permanent. This is what I was going to do for baby's clothes, and so it makes sense I will just practice now. So I'm doing F for front and a B for back. B, B, and let this just sit here for a minute. And now I have a marked slip.
Alright, so let's put on our slip-in garters. I have my stockings first. These are nylon, and they do have a back seam, just like originals did, and there's no elastic in them, at least at the top, so I can't put it on or keep them on without garters. Okay, let's try this with y'all seeing a little further down. Okay, garters are on. It's a little high up, but you can kind of see them. Alright, let's put on the slip. So happy I went with the easy way to tell which is the front, which is the back. It's a little loose up here. I probably could have put a tie in there, but it's really not that bad. Just, you know, no shaping whatsoever. So yeah, that is partially why this is not my favorite time period at all, but it fits. So I guess that's the important part, whether I like it or not. It's correctly shaped, it's made from authentic pattern, and it fits. So that's all I can really say for it. And it's really opaque. Like, I can't really tell where the bra ends and the chemise begins. So it's going to work. It's going to serve its function. It's going to make everything look nice underneath the semi-sheer gown. So that's about all I got for it. It is quite long, so you can see. I'll have to try the dress on and see if it's too long. If it is, I'll just take it up another couple inches at the hem. But that is our very last bit of the 1920s under things. I'm very much looking forward to going back to my 19th century stuff, or at least, 19 teens or something that I, enjoy. But it is the 1920s, and I knew going into this I wasn't going to like this. I knew going into this I was not going to like it. Garters feel like they're going to hold up, though. That's the important thing. And I do think the garters are pretty, so. Alright, so I think that's about it. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Click that little bell notification so you're notified anytime I upload a new video. And as always, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you here in the next video.